Well, good morning, everyone. This is John Cagle with Selltis, and today we'd like to talk a little bit about making users on the go more efficient using Selltis and able to track their data and enter data as they go along. And so our takeaways today that our users can work in Selltis anywhere as long as they have an internet connection, whether that's on their cell phone or whether that's on an iPad. And users can review and enter pertinent data with mobile, not just have to wait until the end of the day. So that's what we're about today. And this morning, let's go a little bit deeper into this subject and see what's available here. So first of all, I just want to remind everybody, we've been talking about setting up desktops and charts over the last few months. And for those of you who weren't on the session, in Selltis, we use the words desktop and dashboard interchangeably. Typically, a desktop or dashboard has one or more reports on it. Often those reports are linked together with a master view and sometimes two or even three master views to then dive into related data. And then a view or a report or a list are kind of interchangeable in terms. It's a list of data or it's a chart of that list, and those are all set up in view properties. A view is set up for a particular desktop, but it can be copied. All right, for our purposes today, I want to talk about the two different products that we offer, if you will. One is Selltis Sales. And so that's the tool you're used to 95% of the time. That's accessing Selltis with a PC or with a Mac using a browser that's not a mobile browser. So you're using Safari, you're using Chrome, you're using our fully supported Internet Explorer. And this product, the sales product, includes accessing Selltis on an iPad or on Surface as two prominent tablets, if you will. Is there questions about that?
Not at this point.
All right, so Selltis Mobile then is accessing Celta via any other browser that is a mobile browser, such as an iPhone. So once we get smaller than the iPad Air, then we're really looking at using a different configuration of Selltis. Selltis still works the same, Selltis still links the same, the reports are the same or can be the same. It's just that we want to try to display data a little bit different. And so when you want to use that mobile platform, it's not really an app, it's just accessing the website in a different way. It does require license activation. And before I forget, anyone that is interested certainly can trial mobile for 30 days with no fee, and I can help you with the setup. And I also have a backup document that I think is pretty intuitive and pretty easy to use. Okay, so moving forward, the first thing that I want to talk about is displaying data on an iPad, and certainly this would apply to a Surface too. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my login for selltis.selltis.com. And you can see that my default login desktop here, JK Project, my open, really displays a lot of data, right? I have all of the alerts and desktops that I work with, my history. And you can see that I'm looking at a calendar and to-dos and activities by projects and on and on and on. So in front of me I have, even though I don't load them all by default, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different views driven by a project master. So that's pretty cumbersome to see on an iPad. What if I did something a little bit different? Instead of showing that complex desktop, if I use the iPad predominantly, perhaps I would change, like I'm saying, to a less complex desktop as my default desktop. And if you look at it, I have 3 views here, which really kind of narrows things down a little bit. I can easily open a project and journal it. I can easily open to-do or scroll up and down in my to-do list. Again, looking at the sales product on an iPad or a Surface. And I can quickly look at my calendar too. And if it did have an issue, I can scroll here in the view. So notice a couple of things that I did to display a desktop that's easier to use on an iPad. First of all, on my iPad, and this is a screenshot right off of my iPad too, you can see that by default, I didn't even have to edit the views. It puts the open link at the beginning of the row, at the beginning of the record that I can open. So this happens by default. In the sales product, of course, you can set this in personal options to do the same. But on the iPad, and I think on the Surface too, this open key makes it easy for me to tap once to open the record when I'm not using a keyboard. The second tip I would give you for displaying a desktop on an iPad is to make it multi-line. So you can see that my project view here is 4 lines high. And that allows me to easily find the record here. And then the last thing that you might want to do is close the history, the desktop panels, the alerts panels by default. So you can see that I have that closed by default. But that works still the same on the iPad. I just click on this little blue button to put my history, desktop, and alerts panels back into play. So just some tips here for displaying data easily on the iPad. Here I've just taken my iPad and rotated it 90 degrees and made another screenshot. And I think this still works equally as well as my previous version on the iPad. And so I again have my projects list, my to-dos list, and my calendar list. That might look a little bit better for you. Besides the open link and the multi-line and closing panels by default, I put another hint on here, and that may be to just show a certain very limited number of records. So I hope you can see this actually in my projects view. I have 48 visible projects to review. I need to do a little note-taking here and documenting. But perhaps you only want to show 10 records at a time, and then use the scroll key here, or the scroll selector, I guess is a better way to put that, to show maybe the first 10 records. Questions on that?
No, I'm good.
Thanks, Marty. So again, the idea is just displaying data maybe in a little less detail, a little less of the kitchen sink effect when you're looking at the smaller monitor. It really has nothing to do with performance. It just has to do with being able to quickly see it and use our fingers to get at that data instead of a keyboard or a mouse. Okay. Wanted to review some iPad commands real quick, and there's a couple of gotchas in here that you might want to know about. And oh, by the way, I can certainly send out this presentation to anybody, even if the video is not made available for a couple of days. The iPad commands. First of all, multitasking gestures need to be on. This is in your general settings. And then most of you who have an iPad or even an iPhone know these commands. You pinch and zoom, pinch and spread to zoom in and out. You know that you can double tap the screen with three fingers to zoom. When you're moving around a Selltis view on the iPad especially, you press with 3 fingers. Not just 2, not just 1. And then the last, that's probably the biggest gotcha that our users have. And then the next one is, of course, to zoom back out, you can double tap the screen again. All right, so just a couple of things. One more gotcha here on the iPad. You can edit desktops, build desktops, edit views filter, do all of that kind of stuff. But just know that when you launch the display, such as in personal options or open managed desktops, that you don't see the list to click on. You need to click on this little button, and then you will scroll up and down the list. Just a little gotcha there, something that's a little bit different. So typically, again, in the sales product, I would see, right above this, JK something else, JK something else. But in this case, you need to touch that little button with your finger, and then you'll see the list, and then you can scroll up and down. All right, let's talk about displaying data for both the iPad or in the sales product or for the mobile product. This is in personal options. So you would go to Tools, Personal Options, Display. Remember that when I'm working in personal options in a couple of other places, I need to load these lists. But when I do, you could say, when the program starts, display this desktop, and you can see that the desktop we've been looking at, JK Projects My Open, is loaded here. When Selltis Mobile starts, when I'm working on my iPhone, I want to display something quite a bit simpler for me to work on. So if you're a salesperson on the road, you may say, you know what, I always want to take a look at the Ops MITRE review first. And so perhaps that is the view that you put into play for your mobile product. All right, when you're setting up mobile desktops, and the next session I'll spend a little bit more time on setting up mobile desktops, in more detail. But in general, we set up our mobile desktops from the sales product. So I can't make a new desktop from my iPhone. And what we do is simply duplicate. For example, you can see I've chosen my priorities JK. I hit the duplicate button. I renamed it. And then I chose for product mobile. And I put that under not a particular section, but what's called the top level. And again, we'll get into more detail on this, but I'll display it. So I simply duplicated the desktop working on my PC here, put it under the product mobile so that I can get at it from my iPhone. And then here's what it looks like. We saw, let me make you dizzy here for a second. I'm just going to go back up to the screenshot of my iPad desktop. Which looks like this. I have the three views: open projects, open to-dos, and my calendar. We'll go back. Now look at my mobile desktop. You can see that the data is displayed a little bit different. So this is a screenshot from my iPhone. You can see the data is displayed a little bit different. I still have my projects to review at the top here. I also still have my open to-dos and my appointments today, but they're not displayed like a mini views desktop because of the small screen. So here I've set my projects to review to be my first 10 records, and these are in my company alpha. You see that I've also cut the fields down. So rather than having 8 or 10 fields in the view, I have just 3. The company name, the next action date, and the next action. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Then the other 2 views on the desktop, thank you. The other 2 views on the desktop are showing here, and I can't really demonstrate directly from my iPhone, but I can show you in the screenshot that I would click, then say on my appointments today, and then the other 2 views would be rolled up, and I'd be looking at that 3rd view on the desktop. I would simply click on my open projects to get back to where I left off up here. So those are some tips about displaying data both on the iPad or the Surface, and then into the mobile product. We can certainly spend a couple minutes, if you'd like, about creating mobile desktops. I do have a plan in the next session to get into that in a little bit more detail. Questions, comments, what would you like?
So far for me, this has been a good overview because, like I said, our goal is to come back and look at that, whether there's a good way for us to be able to get into the mobile accessing media. So this has been good.
Perfect. Perfect. That was my intention. Sean, Dan, any questions?
Yeah, everything looks pretty good. The charts and graphs, do they work on the phone environment?
They do not.
Okay. Yeah, I think we trialed it for a little while and made a few desktops on the mobile side. It was a nice refresher.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a good weekend. And I will look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks. Some of these training documents are available to you. There is a Selltis mobile a video even for the setup, and I do have a document which we can go through, or send me a quick note if you'd like to have it, or can't find it on our Selltis training website. So www.selltis.com/training will have the documents that I'm referring to. And as always, I look forward to hearing from you with any questions, comments, real-life examples before our next session. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. You guys have a good day.